Um, World War II against the Japanese. Um, the Marines were overrun by U.S. forces because the Navy engaged in island hopping and didn't send you guys reinforcements.
Yeah. See, that is more than anything the fact that those guys died to the last man.
Yeah.
But Okinawa is still one of my favorites because the generals of the Okinawan or of the Japanese Imperial Army were like, it's because it will take 300 years and 3 million men to take this island from us, and the Marines did it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
hey man, yeah, listen, you're talking to somebody who's got family that,
oh no, I know I'm talking to the audience that cares the same way I do.
You're talking to a dude who has family involved in Vimy Ridge, right? Like,
But
I
that's
get
what
you.
I mean, though, is like that's like what did the Marines do differently in modern times? They did the one thing no other military does in the world, which is like when you are conscripted, you are an army man. When you join the army, you are an army man. The day you leave for boot camp, you can technically call yourself an army man. But the Marines are like, no, you're not a Marine until you get to the top of the crucible and they give you your Eagle Globe and Anchor. And only on that day do you earn it. And that's like, that to me is like exactly what Starfleet is supposed to be. Like, you are not in Starfleet until you reach the fleet. And so it's like they could go through 1,000 crucibles in the simulation, but then and only then do they walk aboard a ship and start at the bottom rank and try to earn their officer class. And that's where it's like, oh, that's why Picard gives an ensign so much leeway. But I feel like that's the part that like the Starfleet Academy show is like, well, that's not important. Let's just skip to these guys are trying.
Well, I mean, there are a few. Okay, I will say this: at parts, it feels like it's drawing from Saved by the Bell or 90210, but then other components, other points in the show, it actually feels like Star Trek. It's not even yet, and I think that might be the product of it being in its first season. So we'll see. And I hope that that's a fair place to put it.
Well, dude, to me, that is like the beauty of our show. Is part of me thinks somebody's listening. Part of me actually believes we are getting to people. So like the reason why I have an idea of what it should look like, and then want to say those things about the show, like the part that they missed, is like they could literally just go, yeah, this was all a simulation. They could end it with, and now class is dismissed, and these kids go off to their first assignment, and we thought that's all what was really happening. But the reality is like they put them into a heavy simulation for 8 episodes, which technically was an entire senior year of class. And then you can go season 2, here we go.
You know what would actually be kind of funny? Can you imagine like the crewmates that quote unquote died in the simulation just get shunted to a secondary simulation, and then it's like you have the top tier classmen who have just not been killed by whatever nonsense, and then you have the next group that only died once, and so on and so forth. That'd be kind of hilarious, actually.
Dude, honestly, it's the Kingsman thought of like, oh, you thought we killed her, but in reality, she's now in operations. Like, she wasn't going to be an agent, but we still needed her in supply.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're not giving the cake away to everyone. Instead, you're like, no, only certain people earn the title of the next rank, or like the next part in the journey. But then at the same time, because Starfleet is so advanced in its offering, like, we're just not assuming that every 18-year-old is qualified right now. But we also know for a fact some of them are. And so it's like, we're going to throw this all hell breaks loose simulation at them, and then they're going to do their best. and some are gonna go, man, I shouldn't have done this, and they're gonna die. And like you said, another simulation.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting, but we'll see how it all pulls together. I'm willing to keep going at this point. So
Yeah, and the fact that you're willing to keep going, and the fact that Parker says it's actually on track, I'm like, I definitely made a mistake not watching it. Because the thought I had when Parker said it was good was, is this a double fake? Because everybody else is saying this is shit.
I mean, look, I think I understand the shit responses because, I mean, I have some criticisms of it, right? The tone feels uneven throughout, right? I really didn't like the opening. I really don't like poop jokes in Star Trek. Like, these are things that I have issue with, right? I don't really think I need to watch dude bros in their room working out. Like, I get that that's part of it, but I feel like if I was in the academy, I wouldn't necessarily be rooming with a dude bro. I'd probably be rooming with somebody who's too busy cracking a damn book to try to get ahead, to be able to think straight. Much less, you know, like working out in your room instead of the academy gym.
Yeah, where's the PE class?
Right?
Like, if you want to see the dude bros, like literally watching the episode of Letterkenny after season 2, and you can go, oh yeah, we just do a gym scene on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I wouldn't. Good, it has the potential to be. I say it's good in the sense that as a first-run show and getting on what it's built on, it does answer and basically, you know, yeah, we'll get into this soon, but a lot of it basically tries to answer a lot of major grievances with Discovery. Like, for one, not being able to see anything because it's so dark, and for two, the universe feeling dark because it's so depressing all the time, and that's why it just didn't stick the landing. And plus, now we're going back to more ensemble cast again. That's another strong start compared. Like, this is the most non-Kurtzman Trek. Is the best way that I can.
I will agree with that.
And that's why it gets a lot of, you know, good strides and notes. Is it perfect? Is it, you know, I don't want. If we're gonna do a return to Roddenberry Star Trek, then follow the Roddenberry Bible and try to redo TOS, or just have all the timelines end up at TOS. But either way,
yeah. Well, like I said, we'll be able to. I think this is gonna be a good discussion.
I think we got a great.
Oh, I think we definitely do. I mean, because I think it's funny, like the Star Wars thing versus the Star Trek thing. There's actionable, objective differences right now. Like, Kurtzman hasn't left. And because Kurtzman hasn't left, he's not going to want to denigrate all of his previous works by just saying, you know what, the Academy's going to delete everything and we're going to restart at the bottom. Because then he admits failure. And you don't get to the top without an ego, and then you don't protect your ego once you get to the top. That just seems like the most obvious thing. So, like, for him to be like, for them to be trying something new despite all of the negative feedback, and for it to actually land with hardcore Trekkies makes the chance real. But on top of that, it's like they point to the good, acknowledge the bad so that we can jump over those mistakes. Like, rather than saying there were no mistakes, like Kathleen says, instead we go, there is an opportunity here to clean up a lot of messes while simultaneously proving that you do have the right person at the at the captain of the ship. And I think that, like, that's actually surprising, because unless Kathleen left, I don't think we would have been in for the next Star Wars thing.
Oh, shit. Sorry, guys, I just got breaking news.
Okay.
Jean Rabe, Jean Rabe died, He wrote novels for both Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms. She was a prolific author, writing fantasy, mystery novels, urban fantasy. Damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
She was one of the better writers in that genre of writing, really. Damn. Oh well. That's a shame. I was hoping that she'd still have a couple more books in her.
That sucks. Sorry, man. Sorry to hear. Sorry for your loss.
That's all good.
Well, no, I mean, you didn't get your books, but hey, you know, George R. R. Martin, if you're listening, oh, we're gonna be tearing into you tonight too.
Oh my god. That. Oh. You want to know how I feel about him? So, you guys are familiar with the Odyssey and the, you know, and the that whole epic, right? And that what's called the mythic cycle. Okay? It turns out while they were putting in a new subway stop in Greece, they found a underground section where somebody had buried another play in the mythic cycle. So what that means is the Odyssey got a new book before Game of Thrones got another book.
You got. Yeah, alright, whatever. So what not so I need to, what I'm hearing is I need to start writing the sequel to Galaxia.
I'm just saying, dude.
Yeah. I get it.
Like I'm how did this get, how did we wind up being this people?
I don't know. But anyway, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone. We got a lot to talk about this evening. Join us as we're going to talk about Fallout and Star Trek Starfleet Academy and all kinds of other things. All this right now on the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast. And welcome once again to tonight's Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast. We're going to try and do a better intro with everybody on the screen next week. But for now, that's what you guys get. I'm P.D. York, Percival Dreadnought, joined by...
Mr. Corion, the witch in residence.
Cut off my finger. And of course, did it again. Mr. Pollo Zapatos, who has decided to... become transparent for the evening. Turns out he's a vampire.
So, Pollo Zapatos has been screwing around with the ring I found after getting into an argument with this dude in a cave.
Yeah.
So...
he likes to argue with dudes in caves.
I mean, that is kind of my thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's called Twitter. Welcome tonight, Philip Blair, 20, warming up the chat, getting everybody prepped and hyped for this evening's discussion. Found another work by Homer? Yes. That's what we were talking about in the pre-show leakage. Yeah, Corey, why don't you go ahead and talk about that real quick?
So just a little bit, because I was, I'm that kind of nerd and I get excited about these things. Apparently, while they were digging in Greece, they were putting in a new subway terminal. They found an very ancient basement, and on a scroll in said basement, it turns out they found another play in the Mythic Arc. Now, it's more like a one-act play in the Mythic Arc. It fills in some background on some of the characters that you meet. So it's really more kind of like a if we think of like the Iliad and the Odyssey as like the main play, then this would be like Rogue One, if you will, or like telling the story of the Bothans, right? Like it's not a huge piece, but it still means we got more of the mythic arc before George R.R. Martin got off his ass and wrote Winds of Winter.
Oh
Right?
man, yeah, what a great.
I mean,
way
what else
to
can you
just-
say about it, right?
I totally get you there. Shanatsky's also in the chat warming us up and getting us all excited. It says, I work 40 hours a week and still manage to finish stories. Yeah, man, like, I mean, or ma'am, I don't know. I'm probably, I work a few hours a week doing the art thing. I worked like 3 to 5 hours today doing the radio, doing this podcast. I also, try to do my 15 minutes to an hour a day on the guitar. And then I do all of that while also going to hang out with my friends at the bars and watch them play. Yeah, no, even I am going to make time to sit down and finish my book. And it's like, I just... At this point, George, we're going to get into the article a bit, but all I'm going to say is if you can't do it, we'll just let AI scan all of your works, program a model to finish the job for you if you don't, want to do it yourself. And yes, that's a threat that I'll gladly see through. And then you get what you say, treat others the way you want to be treated. Yes. If I start a series and I don't finish it, feel free to have AI scan my writing style and finish it for me. That's the only time that AI is allowed to copy my write style and mimic my ability to write books, is if I fail my audience in getting my last works out there. But otherwise, that's the only time.
Hey man, if I'm going to suggest this. If I fail to get my works out in time before my passing, go into my library. There is a book that is looks like it's on black reptile skin. Defeat the goblin that guards it, and follow the instructions in the book, and I will get back and finish my book.
Yeah. No, that's that definitely seems seems reasonable to me. Not gonna lie. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's get to the intelligence briefing. Netflix is just going hard, just really wants Warner Bros. The streaming... Netflix is making a significant change to its $83 billion deal for Warner Bros. The streaming giant said Tuesday it was amending its bid to make it an all-cash deal, eliminating the $4.50 or $4.50 in Netflix stock that had been part of its original winning offer. The move will apply pressure to David Ellison's Paramount, which has been arguing its $30 per share all-cash offer is clearly superior. I just talk about the bidding drama that's really kind of been like this boring story in all the craziness going on in the world these days.
Yeah, this is literally 3 or 4 multi-million-dollar multi-million-dollar or multi-millionaires having a money fight, and we all get to sit there and watch, and hopefully they drop a whole bunch that we can just like run over and collect, I guess is the only way to do it, as they throw money at each other.
Yeah. Shanatsky says, I just want to get some of my feature-length stuff made soon. Shorts is a nice start, but most people don't care for short films. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's an audience mostly for anything if you can find it. AI was used to finish Beethoven's 10th Symphony back in 2021. Yeah, see? There you go. It's fair. Yeah. Netflix wants Batman. Yes, Philip Blair, and that's what I talked about with Netflix acquiring. If Netflix is going to give us the shows that they gave us with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, but like Batman and, Superman and all the DC stuff, I'm here for it. I know James Gunn currently has his thing going, and we got some disappointing Gunn news to talk about tonight, and we'll get to that. But yeah, Netflix really wants Warner Bros. Right now, and yeah, I think switching to an all cash offer like
that's hardcore.
Like, boy. Although Star Trek on Netflix or Netflix taking over Star Trek. Well, no, I don't think. Yeah, Netflix taking over Star Trek, but that's not the bid that's up, unfortunately.
I mean, potentially Netflix taking over Warner Brothers. does give them the entire DC catalog, which could be very, very interesting. And, you know, in a very roundabout way, DC does have, or was the initial publisher, I believe, for the Star Trek comics. So maybe there's a deal to be made there with the current owners of Paramount?
Maybe.
Because there's a previous relationship? Just an idea.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. Turning now to the bleedingcool.com. Thanks to Hollywood Reporter for that last story. Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Winder Bomb on Jessica Jones Time Jump. So I guess Born Again's getting a second season. I didn't watch the first season, so
It was pretty good.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't great, but it definitely felt like a return to form for the Marvel Street universe, if you will.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll probably just have to give it a look-see, because, yeah, I didn't, because I heard it wasn't as great as it was.
It wasn't as great, but it wasn't terrible.
Okay. Oh, I might have to.
Like, it felt like the original Netflix series a lot, and that gave me some good moments. So, we also get to see White Tiger, which is kind of nice. We got to see the Punisher in season 1, which is also kind of nice.
Yeah.
I think that there's potential there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know,
Shinatsky in the chat says, I just want new series and films. I want more films like Sinners that are self-contained. You know, I think that you've got a good point there. And I think that that's why you should definitely keep on, you know, your writing, because, I mean, Lucasfilm, for one, is looking for original IPs at the moment. So shout out to me to get Galaxia republished before the end of this month, idiot. Don't worry, guys, I will. I just, I just gotta do it. Yeah, so, I mean, this is definitely the time to continue to get independent works out there. Don't think for a second that just because like KK's gone that, you know, we're necessarily out of the woods with Star. We really don't know what's going to happen yet, until things start happening. Yes, everyone says the sequels are getting erased, blah, 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 and we'll get into that discussion again. But I'm saying right now that if you are doing independent projects, keep doing it, because the truth of the matter is that's how most people who get done what they want to get done. Jon Favreau played the game until he was able to establish himself as an independent creative that he could basically switch to any studio at any time, and that's why he's not the head of Lucasfilm, is because that's not his personality. He doesn't want to command offices. He wants to do projects, make good movies, set things on a good track, and that's what he did. And we do owe a lot of thanks to John for digging in and giving us The Mandalorian, and he has done a lot for Star Wars, but he did it the way he wanted to. So, yeah, that's where that's at. Darth Jar Jar sequel, says Philip Blair. Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, man, I'd be down for it.
Right. All right, 3D Project hits paid Cyberpunk 2077 VR mod with DMCA strike. Creator refuses to request to make it free for everyone. Luke Ross has contacted IGN to clarify that CD Projekt Red's DMCA strike occurred before he refused the company's request to make the mod free for anyone, not afterwards. Oh, okay. Yellow Cake fuses pulpy political sci-fi with Brazil, folk life, radioactivity, and the pending apocalypse.
Yeah, so if you like Fallout and you want a little more Brazil in your Fallout, this looks like the
I was going to say
show for you.
Pluribus, but yeah.
Yeah, or Pluribus works in there too.
Actually, I think the character only crossed through Brazil. He was like way further away, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, the Brazil, I'm talking about the movie Brazil, where the I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh, no, actually, I have not.
Okay. The best way I can describe it is bureaucratic dystopia. Okay.
All right.
That's the only way I can describe it.
Philip
but the main
Blair says
character-
Doom.
I think this is going to be a worthwhile watch. The production value, like the cost of it doesn't seem that high, right? Like I don't think they spent a huge amount on special effects or anything like that. But I don't know if it necessarily needs it. So I think it could be kind of fun. And I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah. Shinatsky says the hunt for Jar Jar. Make it happen. Yeah. That could be entertaining too.
Or the last temptation of Jar Jar.
All
where we
right.
Find out how he
Yeah. So this
changes
is going to
over?
kind of prelude. So coming up, it's either going to be next week's Tuesday podcast or a couple of days after, but probably right before February. We're going to be doing our Kathleen Kennedy going away party. We're going to be giving her a party saying bye-bye and thanks for all the memories. And and this will also be the chance of sort of, I guess, a Festivus ritual, if you will, where you will get to air all of your grievances with Kathleen Kennedy. You will get to say your final piece. You will get to say what it is. You just all the stuff. Yeah, we are going to be as censor-free as we possibly can within the rules. Then what's going to happen is as we, finally talk all of our last grievances, we're going to start talking about the Star Wars that we loved, and we are going to kick off our Star Wars revival. We have got until May for The Mandalorian and Grogu, and so it's time. What we're going to do is I think we're going to start easy. Probably going to start with a look back at the original trilogy. We're going to do the OG trilogy first. And if we feel the magic of Star Wars come back just from watching that, then we're going to do The Mandalorian, at least season 1 and 2. We have not formally reviewed those on this channel, so we've got the time for that. And whatever else we can squeeze in. I'd love to do Kenobi, getting Criffing DBK and Cameron on here to argue peacefully. No, I mean, I also don't like Kenobi either, but would be a very fun discussion to have as to why, everyone loves it or doesn't. Great discussion, I think, to be had, and it's Star Wars. Also, on the Gaming Lounge side of things, we are going to be doing our Star Wars video games. I'm gonna try and get seriously back into SWTOR again soon, especially since, given the current state of things in America, space fascism just doesn't sound like fun at the moment. So we're gonna go back to a galaxy far, far away and fight for freedom or tyranny, because SWTOR allows us to do both, and both can be fun.
Dude, SWTOR allows us to understand the struggle of the dark side.
Right.
Like, for once, you actually get to see the dark side on on the screen, actually, be tempted by the power, or do what you said you were going to do after watching Star Wars, which was be a Jedi and never be tempted.
So, we're going to do the OG trilogy first. And we're going to go from there. And if we get to episode 6 and we go, guys, I think we're just going to have to try this again for Starfighter. If it's unanimous. And that's because I could come down to it. I could try over the next couple of weeks and I could be like, guys, I really tried to get back into SWTOR. I really tried to play some of the classic Star Wars games. I really tried to do the nostalgia, but it's just not there. I'm going to take that as the universe telling us that Mando and Grogu is not going to be bringing it, and that it's not going to be that great, and that we're probably just going to wait till it hits streaming. Because if the magic isn't in the air, if the mood isn't right, if we don't feel that we're sinking to anything and getting us excited for Star Wars, what's the point? So that's step 1. Step 1, phase 1 of our Star Wars revival will be reviewing the original trilogy in February. We might do 1 or 2 episodes a night. We will see how we feel as we, go and try to get back into it.
Yep.
And then, like I said, Star Wars games. The purpose is time to move forward. Yes, there are going to be blob channels out there saying things like, if Filoni is the new KK, I have the proofs. And here it is. And that's all speculation. But what if it was true? Yeah. We're not really doing that. We will follow rumors. We are information chasers. This is the front line of information and analytics. But Not because we
more than
want something
anything-
to be true, but because we're just following the signals.
But more than anything, the goal is more about, we know Star Wars is good. We know why we say that all of the time. We know that it can be better, and I mostly mean visually. Like, the original trilogy was enhanced tenfold by the cinematography of the prequel trilogy. The part that hurt the most about Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy was that they took all of the money that Disney could throw at them and spent none of it on quality writing. And like, that's what I want to get back to, is rather than focusing on speculation about whether or not Filoni and KK are the same person, just
He's
different
the woke
costumes.
prodigy.
And he could be. You know, he grew up in Hollywood, and Hollywood mostly only pays the woke prodigies. But if you also look at it, every single debate in Star Wars is about being better than the problem, better than the dark side, because the dark side can do so much worse if you let it. And that's what Acolyte demonstrated. That's what Kenobi demonstrated. That's what the sequel trilogy truly demonstrated, was like, there is the darkness, which is just cutting off people's heads, see Anakin and Count Dooku, but then there's the darkness, where it just does not feel like the light is welcome anymore. And that's the part I want to focus on more than anything with the whole game stuff. Like, when it comes to SWOTOR, when it comes to KOTOR, when it comes to this new KOTOR that's coming out sometime in the future, maybe, like, those are the parts that it's like, you don't necessarily need to ignore what's happening in reality. George Lucas wrote the original trilogy based on Vietnam, and he was siding with the Vietnamese. He wasn't siding with the Americans. The Empire was America in that story. But in the prequel trilogy, same thing, except the Jedi weren't the American military. They weren't the Americans as a whole. They were this other thing that America lacks. Like, what is America missing in its wartime? It's missing the heroes that do good for goodness sake, regardless of what the war profiteers are begging for. And what did Count Dooku do wrong? He became a war profiteer. Like, that's the story of Star Wars, is there's something missing in our society. Duh. And you gotta find it, or you gotta write it yourself. And that's the part that Kathleen failed to ever bring to the screen, was there was no light in her darkest darkness. It was just different shades of black. None of them were good.
For the most part. But until then, we have to deal with the news now. Back to what we were discussing. Kennedy wouldn't change anything. Earlier today...
So, to be clear, she wouldn't change losing a bunch of money and her reputation.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, losing $18 billion. Earlier today, the news hit that Kathleen Kennedy was stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm this week. The EVP and Chief Executive Officer, Dave Filoni, and President and GM of Lucasfilm Business, Lin-Win Brennan, taking over as co-stars Kennedys, will continue as a producer following the two feature films, this year's Mando and Grogu, and 2027's Star Wars Starfighter. The highs include realizing how many people love Star Wars. The majority of people, and certainly the people that I run into, and people outside the business, they love Star Wars. They love the movies. They might love all the shows. They might love some of the shows. But when I came into this, I realized a few things. We had walked in at a moment when there hadn't been any movies for 10 years or more. But there was still a memory of the greatest series of movies in cinema history. So, you're walking into something that has enormous expectations, Kennedy shared. Yet, at the same time, you know that you've got to find new characters, and you have to expand the galaxy, and you need to think about that you didn't do any of that!
How do you consider
Jesus Christ!
expanding the galaxy by just reinserting the Death Star?
Thank you, John! Holy crap, I was trying to stay in character and I'm just listening to myself say this shit. And like, holy ego, Batman. Holy fucking ego.
Not even ego. It's more than anything. It's, she walked into something she didn't expect there to be this giant thing for, even though Disney paid $2 billion for it.
Four.
$4
billion. That's like saying, this is an overpriced piece of art, and I don't know why Picasso cut his ear off.
The galaxy was already expanded, you stupid bitch. All you had to do was pick a point in the expanded universe timeline, start making episode 9 from there, and just let all the book people fill us in on the shit we missed. Oh wait, we could have gone back and done that with the TV shows like we started doing with Mandalorian in the first fucking place. Oh wait, guess what's coming after Mando and Grogu and Starfighter? The Thrawn trilogy. So I guess we are gonna get what we wanted anyway. It's just gonna come late.
But on top of all of it, there's the greatest part about all of this that I always forget. Ahsoka dropped in there the first live action of Rebels and Clone Wars.
And it was
ever.
glorious.
It was so good, and then it just vanished. Mando was Mando because Filoni wanted to write an action, or was it Jon Favreau? I can't remember. Wanted to write Boba Fett, and Kennedy was like, you know, I think that you've done so much for the Clone Wars that you were able to take a 10-year gap and make it worth $4 billion. But I don't trust you to take a beloved character. Like, Boba Fett wasn't beloved. He was cool. That was it. He was iconic in terms of his reference, but he didn't say or do anything in the movies outside of a couple cool action scenes. And you're going to say Filoni couldn't fix that? He took Obi-Wan and Anakin and gave them both a justified reason for being able to fight at the Battle of the Two. Like, the two brothers fight.
Yep.
Like, George couldn't even do that.
Cosmic
George
Vader.
was like, Anakin's going sad and he's got really emo tendencies.
Yeah.
And then Filoni was like, it wasn't emotional. It was so much more than that. He was betrayed, and here's a whole cartoon to make that make sense.
Yeah. Cosmic Vader says, like a teenager doubling down on the shitty tattoo they got after drunken binge. Dude, bro. Right.
Yeah.
Nail. Head. Boom.
Yeah. That's it.
Shinatsky said, you don't understand. She is the hero that showed how great and powerful Kathleen Kennedy was for Kathleen Kennedy. Again, nail. Head. Kathleen Kennedy rejects rewrite. KK, make Death Star but bigger, $2.5 billion. They are more so disbanded the expanded universe so they could hometown buff it. Yes, because her whole thought process on that was, well, I don't want to pay royalties to this idiot, so I'm gonna save a bunch of money by cutting out the royalties from the people that have an established universe that's already got enough of a cult following that if you do the movies just right, you can bring in a bunch of new people, and then you're gonna make way more money off of that, because instead of thinking you were saving money by cutting out royalties like a selfish little piece of trash, you ended up, oh, and by the way, Zahn ended up working with Filoni and probably getting paid for that anyway. $18 billion down the toilet. Like, holy crap.
Dude, I wouldn't even say that it's 18. The biggest thing is more than anything since Force Awakens.
Let me say real quick. This is a number based off of Cameron and Sparrow's analysis that has also been dissected on Douglas Burton's channel. Hey, Douglas, if you're watching.
And it has more or less been confirmed by the available data.
So, sorry, 14 billion was the losses. I'm including the 4 purchase of
no, that was
Lucasfilm.
included in the 14.
In the 14. Okay, so it is 14 billion. Thank you.
But here's the thing. If Force Awakens brought in what, almost $2 billion after it was released because of how much hype was there, and then the second 2 brought in about $4 billion on their own.
Yeah.
And most of us were like, okay, this is killing me. I can't believe I went and saw Force Awakens so many times. And most people, by the time the last one came out, didn't even go waste their money on it, except for the kids that were super into it.
I haven't seen Rise of Suckwanker since that one time.
But see,
I haven't actually watched it at all yet.
This is the craziest part.
Sucks.
They could have released a Mandalorian movie at the end of every season.
Yep.
They could have released an Ahsoka movie at the end of that season. They could have released a Book of Boba Fett movie if they let Dave Filoni write Book of Boba Fett. They could have released an Acolyte movie if they let Dave Filoni write The Acolyte. They could have done so much more in movies, but because of the negative press, pressed by Kennedy, she failed to realize that she was denigrating the offer. You can say for sure it was 14 billion lost. But theoretically, the amount of money that could have been earned from literally just letting the fans guide the Force rather than being like, you know what? You're wrong. You're wrong. I know it because, well, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. And it's like, no, you're there because you know secrets about Hollywood. Stop acting like that translates to reality. Just because you know all of the black marks on everybody else's ledger doesn't mean you know all the white marks that got them their ledger.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you lose more than about 40 countries in the world's GDP, it's time to go away and people to stop listening to you. Like, do you know how much work you actually have to put in to lose that much money?
I have said it before. I will say it again. Cameron was right that she should have been fired after Dial of Destiny. I will stand by that as being the time that she clearly should have exited. But yeah, Shanatsky in the chat actually says, Filoni just wants to make films and TV shows about his waifu, which, I mean, Rosario Dawson's pretty...
to be fair,
pretty.
I'm kind of down for that at this point.
But that's just me.
I don't care what he wants to do because everything he has done is a credit to everything he wants to do.
Filoni has a track record of improving his stuff. Yes, the first Clone Wars movie is one of the worst Star Wars movies ever made. It's about on par with the sequel trilogy. I'm sorry to say, but Sky Guy. Anyway,
it was the worst Star Wars movie until everything Filoni.
I watched it after the sequels, and I was like, no, this one's still pretty bad. Which it works out because then you get to Clone Wars Season 3, and you're like, wow, that's some massive storytelling improvement.
But not just improvement, learning from the mistakes.
That's true. Filoni actually listened to the criticism. I could have a beer with that guy.
But if you think about it, most people forgot about Phantom Menace because of Filoni's Clone Wars. But then they forgot about Filoni's Clone War movie because of Filoni's Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The end justifies the means in this case. I have to agree.
Because that's learning. That's like, okay, we think you can do this. Good luck. Ooh.
And that's really bad. That's why I don't hate Starfleet Academy, is because it's not without its issues, sure, and yes, you're allowed to have opinions if you don't like it, blah blah blah. However, to say that it's more of the same, it's woke, it's blah blah blah.
Anyway, when we're ready, we'll dig into it.
Right. So Shanatsky says, Order 66 killed every Jedi except for insert huge list of named character. All right. I actually disagree with the grievance on the simple fact that it ends up working out to the universe's benefit, because it then shows the Empire engaging in shameless propaganda to claim that all the Jedi are dead, only for us to find out years later, no, that wasn't the case, because most of them did end up going into hiding because they heeded Kenobi's warning. And so that, tens of thousands of Jedi spread across the galaxy, I can believe being a potential reason as to why not all of them were killed, and that, Vader wiping them out was really just like 3 or 4 masters, and it was, Darth Vader wipes out the last remaining Jedi, because as we've learned living in this crazy dystopia era, you can just make up whatever the fuck you want and put it out there as news, and all the idiots are gonna believe it!
Yeah. Which is also exactly what George was pointing to. Like, the Empire will always think that they won because they're the biggest name in media. But the truth of the matter is...
Also notice how the Empire thinks it's the good guys.
Funny you mentioned that, because I actually saw an AI video about perspective of the Death Star blowing up from the inside, and it was kind of rough because you're watching these guys blow up in all the areas that you just saw, and it's like playing sad music, and you're like, man, in reality, 99% of these people were just
Supply.
doing their job.
Well, like really, when you think about it too, right?
Not
Like the loss of the
engaged in
Death Star.
genocide.
Well, the loss of the Death Star to like your average Imperial dude, you know, working like a factory job or whatever, that's gonna feel awful like 9/11.
Dude, you know
isn't it?
exactly how it worked too. It was probably pushed out there like, hey, the new safest, most badass battle station in the Empire. Like, how many people like
No,
applied
it-
to be stationed there with the
I bet
newest
you it
tech?
wasn't even the most badass battle station or whatever. It's like this is gonna secure peaceful like operations, extended operations across the Outer Rim and prevent these terrorists that keep showing up from getting on your doorstep, man.
So think about
Sorry,
every
hold on.
single-
Shinatsky says, given what happened in the sequels, the Empire was the good guy.
I mean,
Fuck. I hate when you guys are right.
But here's the craziest part. If you think about all the movies about like space cruises and generation ships,
yeah.
like they didn't sell the Death Star. They sold the first ever artificial moon that requires no other planet to sustain itself.
Right? Like something like that, right?
And,
But yeah,
and so like
um,
literally they're selling like buy your home on the Death Star where you will be the most secure senator in the galaxy.
Right.
That's almost like, yeah, that's like you hear the propaganda of this is the most badass station, this is the Imperial's might, and then you find out you got rejected, and then you find out the next week it blew up.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's like finding out, oh man, I didn't get picked for Trump's birthday parade, and then you see the fucking clip of the squeaky tank, and you're like, oh.
Oh, dude,
Dude, rockin'.
Even worse, they sell it as, you know how we have the core systems? We're diversifying. We are now making it so the Galactic Senate can travel the galaxy and be in your home to handle your problems from this new moon.
Yeah, it's like
And so
the
you're all
diplomatic.
you're thinking of- yes, the diplomatic.
Yeah,
ultimate
what is it? The
diplomat.
direct democracy space station or something like that.
Exactly.
Philip Blair, take it on
the-
Titanic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Philip
But-
Blair also says Mel Brooks made a whole satire about Kathleen Kennedy types losing money on purpose. The producers. I'm curious as to how that's going to play into the next Spaceballs movie.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Man, that'll be so
Joining
good.
us from a long hiatus after a mission in the outer rim of the Milky Way galaxy, Sentai Ranger Donnie has joined us
Oh,
for
dude!
shore leave, spending some of his precious time. Hello, PD, Corion, Pollo Zapatos, and all. Hope all is well. Happy 2026. Also, happy High School Musical Day. Happy 2026 to you as well. The last
And
one.
dude,
Get
really
your head
good to
in the
hear-
Game. Gotta get your head in the game.
I'm a huge
Straight up,
fan
man.
of 1776 myself.
Honestly, really good to see you, Donnie.
Yeah, always.
All right.
And all the politics make sense if having democratically elected queens. Yeah, right, exactly. Shinatsky understands the sequel era.
You know what though? The best part
The
would be
power
the
of
guys
one,
after
the
the Death
power of
Star
two.
who are like all about like, dude, there's no way a fighter, like a snub fighter, could destroy a station like that.
Oh yeah, there ain't
Yeah,
no
the
way.
Death Star was an inside job.
It
Absolutely.
never happened. There was no Death Star. They weren't actually trying to do it. It's all propaganda for Starfighter.
No,
Whatever.
no.
He's so
Wrong.
good.
Wrong. The Death Star was flat
Yeah, there you go, flat Death Star fans.
and square.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's move it on here, because I mean, I think we've beaten this horse pretty hard.
Yeah, but Shanatsky and Ranger Donnie and Philip Blair and Cosmic Vader are having fun talking about. See, this is why we're doing our Star Wars revival, because
Yeah.
look how long we talk about Star
Dude, yeah,
Wars.
like honestly, I would love to see man.
Oh,
The Death Star the Death Star was an inside job. Take a look. We got Vader here.
yeah.
And like his son is the one who blew it up. That's
Yeah.
awful suspicious,
Yeah.
man.
Joining us on the portrait side, it's Proto Badger saying, "Greetings to all. Sorry for being off the net for a bit. Stroke sucks. I do not say trying one
Oh, my
out, but
goodness.
nothing is holding the Badger down. So what's the topic? Well,
Right
glad
now
you're
we're
with us.
Yeah. Keep being with us, bro.
Best advice I can give is try the Rise coffee. It's working for me in more ways than just weight. No, like seriously, immune system feels boosted, energy feels up, and just and also figure out your body's metabolism and pick a diet that makes sense to you. My grandfather had a stroke a couple of years ago, and he and my grandmother decided, well, you know what? Screw that. We're going to live as long as we can at 75 years old. And they lost, 40, 50 pounds or something. And they look really good. They're feeling healthy. But yeah, man, one step at a time. Glad you're here. Welcome back. Good to see you. The topic is we're going to be doing our Star Wars revival starting next week. And so, since I think you are also a Star Wars fan, if I'm recalling correctly, because you make the knives and the swords, which is fucking... Did you get yours yet, Corion, or is it still...
I got mine.
Please,
I have...
show off. Do you have it accessible?
Not right now, but I have he made me an athame, which is basically a witch's knife. And he made me a sword, and they are gorgeous pieces.
Yeah, man.
He takes your input in directly, and he takes it seriously. Dude works with respect. I straight up, when I got that blade, I was like, oh, so this is what it's like when like the elves of Lothlorien custom build you a sword. Like, that's how dope it feels, right? It's like, oh, so this is what it feels like when you are handed like a sword of destiny kind of thing, right? Like when you like go, oh, so I guess I'm the chosen one. Cool, right?
Right.
That's the feeling you get from that thing. And honestly, the way his blades pick up light, you feel like you're wielding a lightsaber. It is so dope. The guy is an absolute genius in the forge. And yeah, guys, if you can, and if there's product out there, pick up a Proto Badger.
Yeah, man. And
tool.
You got this, dude. I've seen people come back from strokes in ways that even their doctors were like, oh, you're always going to have half your face this way. And you know what? Fine. Talk like a pirate the rest of your life. It's not the end of the world. But you're here still. You didn't come this far to be taken out this early. As you said, can't keep the Badger down. I love the two. Let's keep it going. Shanatsky says the conspiracy would be it was an inside job so Vader could put his daughter in charge of everything. And by the way,
there you go.
Leia, being Vader's daughter, did bite her in the ass politically in the expanded universe. I bet.
Yeah, that's it. I would love to see that conspiracy theory play out and be like, yeah, the Death Star was an inside job. And like all the like QAnon level discussion that would go on, it would be so good.
Oh, yeah. Dude, it would fix so much. Like if you like, we talked about it last time, or you guys talked about it on the breaking news episode. But like retcons, that's the best thing about conspiracies. Is that's how you retcon everything. Is you just do a whole series about the Star Wars conspiracy, and you go, this is what we thought was happening, and it looks like all of the stuff we didn't like. But then you go, I know that's not the story. And then you can now change the story because now you can be like, that's what they said happened. Like supposedly Obi-Wan, a Jedi traitor to the Grand Council, met with Leia and got inside her mind. And that's how she was able to get ahead to deal with Darth Vader, and then, yep, she's Darth Vader's dark princess that nobody saw coming. Now we've just retconned Kenobi and the entire Skywalker saga.
Well, fun fact, in Warhammer 40k, they specifically state in all their lore that any snippets of lore you get are from the perspective of the person speaking it in the novel, and may not necessarily be the actual truth. And when they've had to do a bunch of retcons in the past, they've actually had a different character go, it's a fun story, but that's not how it actually went down, and explains it, from their perspective again. So the truth becomes this kind of cool, like, canonicity in Warhammer becomes this cool fluid kind of thing where some things are most definitely true, like this for sure happened, but other pieces of lore that kind of feed into it are iffy in the best way.
That goes directly back to why Yoda told Qui-Gon, you're chasing a prophecy, hoping that it will be the result you want it to be.
Yep.
That's the wrong thing. And that's how you do it, is literally you go 2,500 years in the future, and then you find in a Jedi temple where the temple somehow, because it's the Force, recorded the actual events. Oh, it looks like maybe somebody that was a Sidious sympathizer saw this and made everything we don't like and made everything we do like. And it turns out the galaxy is a lot grayer than anybody actually understands. Back to space opera.
Yep.
Yeah. Shinatsky says, why did X-Wing pilots say pull out in the middle of the Death Star trench run, loose Death Star? Oh, but Sentai Ranger comes back and says, I believe it was pull up. Ooh, debate in the chat. Proto Badger says, I still working on the Mando blades for 2 other writer brothers after I can get past my PT. Yeah, man, take the time you need, brother. Take your time, relax. But yes, at just one step in front of the other, and I hope that in the long run, this experience can become a positive building block in your life.
If you've got some form of medical debt due to something and you've got a GoFundMe or whatever set up, please feel free to post it in every single one of our videos, and we will regularly tell people to donate. I know how bad medical debt can be, and I do not want it to be something that slows your recovery in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
and now back to the briefing. DCU Chief James Gunn won't have 2 Batman movies come out in the same year, tells fans not to expect the Brave and the Bold update till after the Batman 2. So in other words, DCU President James Gunn is still disappointing the out of you.
Well, I mean, I do think that having 2 Batman movies compete against each other would not be ideal.
Yeah, there's a way that
there's
in this
nothing
era
good in the movie theater. Monday was Popcorn Day, National Popcorn Day, and my son was like, "Can we please go to the movies?" And I went to look, and I was like, "I can't take you to any of this."
Ash and Fire?
He's 5. 3-hour movie is gonna kill me listening to him kill the whole theater. And
Fair.
that's what I'm talking about. If you had Batman, even if one of them is an animated one, or if one of them is all action-packed Batman being Batman, and the next one is about Batman learning legacy or something, like that's how there is no competition.
Well,
the theaters are vacant.
So the 2 Batman movies we're looking at is we have the Sparkle Pyre Batman, and we have Brave and the Bold, which is basically going to be Batman and the heroes that were introduced in the Superman movie.
And my son loved the Superman movie, so I'll take
fair.
him to that one, and then I'll go see the other one because he's not old enough for the other one yet.
Yeah, he's not old enough for Marilyn Manson Batman. I get it.
Which I am. I love that one. I wish I had seen it in the theaters. So it's like literally James Gunn is like, you know what would be a bad idea? Making double the money this year.
And
so,
I mean,
shareholders that may or may not have interest in this thing, maybe talk to them about how the fact that the theaters are vacant and parents need something to take their kids to, and parents also want an excuse to leave their kids with grandma.
Yeah. Look, I'm I personally think that the universe could survive, like, say, for example, a Batman coming out in the spring as like the more hopeful, optimistic, Justice League aligned Batman, and then doing like the Long Halloween, which is a really dark but cool sequence of events in the comics, at Halloween for a release. Would you could make it work with enough gap in between, but
There's
I
12
also
months
do
in a
get them
year.
not wanting to blow their whole wad inside of a year, right?
But dude, the only reason that they're gonna do that is because James Gunn is way closer to a mystery box writer and has no idea what he's dealing with, even though he has decades of comics to just pick one to turn into a movie at any point.
Oh yeah.
Shinatsky says, why was Princess Leia allowed to escape the Death Star? It's highly unlikely a small group of 2 men plus a Wookiee would be capable of enacting such an escape. One of them was her brother.
Yeah.
Got a
You
good
see?
point.
I'm telling you, man, you need to get your best Scarfoil hats on, because we're getting into that weird conspiracy theory space, man.
Yeah. Why did the Imperial officer detect no life forms after they captured the Millennium Falcon? Were they under orders from Vader to give a false report? We know they were on the ship as it was searched. Well,
Dude, these are gold, man. Like we need to like, build the like R2 Dianon conspiracy group for Star Wars.
I honestly
Dude,
was kind of
that's
surprised.
So funny because it would be R2 trying to explain how everything was not right, and he was there.
I'm surprised
Right?
that I was honestly expecting Andor season 2 to do that. Like have a
R2D
freaking
Jones.
have a freaking Q reference to the Q and the Anons about how you guys are fighting the good fight by sitting on your asses and doing nothing. Or having an insurrection on January 6th,
trying to
2021.
transcribe it the whole time, and he's like, "This isn't what happened, R2. I've read the official reports."
Yeah.
Not everyone. Three Marvel stars say they've been left out of Avengers Doomsday, and one is quite a surprise. Marvel stars Idris Elba, Wunmi Mosikyu,
Is
and
it,
Martin.
Black Panther's not gonna be? Sorry, that's
Well-
a really bad joke.
That's a really bad one. Idris Elba was playing Heimdall. Heimdall died, so that makes sense why Idris Elba isn't there.
You dead, bro?
Woomy, I think she was the woman that was playing Black Panther's guard, I believe.
Star is compared to Idris Elba and Martin Freeman. Star is coattails, honey. I'm sorry
Martin Freeman, I mean, he played best off of Black Panther characters, and if Black Panther isn't going to be the focus, I get why he's not there.
He's also expensive as shit, so
Yeah.
And so is Idris Elba. Idris Elba is stupid expensive now, from what I hear. So, like, this is what we call bait click.
But it does give us an excuse to talk about who is in Doomsday and what we're looking forward to seeing.
Okay.
Because we know those 3 aren't there. Cool, fine. That means there's a good chance that Ironheart won't be there, thank goodness. Right? I think
Hawkeye's daughter, Hawkeye 2, it won't be there.
Right. I do think that it's a good thing that we're probably not going to be getting Scarlet Witch, because I think her story's kind of done now for a little while anyway. That's good. But we are probably going to see Strange and his new girlfriend. That's kind of cool. I do think we're probably going to see we're getting reports that we are going to see Steve Rogers in, right? And as a younger Steve Rogers, like a family man Steve Rogers. It looks like we're going to get Thor back in the ranks. We know we're getting Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. We're getting the Fantastic Four, we're getting the X-Men, and let's be honest, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men in the same movie sounds like it could be pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Right?
We're going to take a quick break to talk from one of our sponsors, Sentai Ranger Donnie. Come check out his DeviantArt page. Here, he is featuring and promoting Sunday Night Basketball. Why are we promoting Sunday Night Basketball? Because he's promoting Sunday Night Basketball, and because sports ball is a part of pop culture, as well as, it's live action player versus player. So, as a gamer myself, well, I might not particularly enjoy basketball. I do appreciate the sport, and I appreciate those excited about the sport. And this is also kind of a new era in the Sunday night sports, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't believe they've had Sunday night basketball yet. John, you followed the sports back in the day.
Yeah, the sports balls that I remember were
Sunday night football.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's like a new thing. Moving on to... Oh, crap, I screwed it up. I cannot run a show for anything. I suck. Alright. 28 years later falls to Avatar. You couldn't take your son to see 28 years later? Look, this looks like a 5-year-old there, or 10-year-old, or something.
He's hit the phase where like the movies are hitting his dreams, so I'm like, let's keep the nightmares down.
Dude, I was like fucking 14 years old and full of myself, you know, because I went to Universal Studios and saw how all the movies were made. And then I literally had those nightmares of the Tremors coming into our house long after I had seen this movie and knew all of the practical effects, and yet the universe, in all of its infinite cruelty, decided...
You remember when you were so scared by that movie? Let's relive it in your dreams.
Dude,
that was me and I Am Legend.
I couldn't freaking get out of bed, and you just like in the most reluctant and God, this fucking baby way possible crawled into bed and kept me comfortable that night. And we were like kids, so calm down. So it was.
And I was just as horrified. Tremors has never been good for me until I was almost 30.
You were just as horrified?
I can handle this.
That's funny, because I remember looking at you sleeping, and you were like, and I'm like, you're gonna sleep, they're gonna jump out and kill me.
I don't know, man. I enjoyed it a lot when it came out, but...
Oh, no, I
This is
loved
me.
Tremors when it came out. I'm just saying, like,
I love Tremors now. It's so funny. I get why our parents had us watch it. It's a very funny movie.
Tremors, starring Kevin Bacon as... Kevin Bacon. I mean, he is the most Kevin Bacon in that film, without a doubt.
I mean, yes, he does kind of reach peak Kevin Baconated.
Yeah. Alright, turning back to the Star Wars news... Lol Zero spooked sorry. Rian Johnson responds to Kathleen Kennedy's suggestions that online negativity put The Last Jedi director off making more Star Wars. No. Boy, here we go.
This is a leader throwing their person under the bus, and as much as I agree Rain deserved to be thrown under the bus, it's Kathleen's fault for letting that movie be made.
I would even argue, like, look, that's not what prevented him from making the movie. He would have done it. It's the rest of the world saying, dude, these aren't profitable for you to make.
Star Wars, The Last
You can
Jedi
call
director.
it negativity. I call it box office numbers.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson has responded to outgoing Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy's claim that he was put off making more Star Wars as he got spooked by the online negativity. So we have a word for this in the online world, and that's called being a bitch. Really?
I was going to say it's called accountability.
Online negativity? You really fucking... Do you have any idea how much online negativity I, just by myself, not just the channel, but that I have endured a metric motherfuck ton from people who appear like they're stable, people who go and buy frickin' subscribers to inflate their stupid fucking channels and get a bunch of idiots to fucking believe them because they're all so impassioned and true about everything. No, they're not. They're just loud. They're just obnoxious, and you just believe them because they inflated their numbers and look like they have a bunch of influence when they really don't. But you know what? Everybody's free to choose what they want. It's fine. I'm on a thing. And that's fine. Everybody's free to choose what they want. But here's the reality. And this predates freaking online negativity. Motherfucker, do you think that Frank Sinatra listened to yes men all the goddamn time? Do you think that someone like him was just immune to? No, you think that he's great because in the end we only remember the highlight reels of people. But guys like Sinatra struggled. Guys like Sinatra put up with the equivalent of online negativity, which back then was not just people saying stupid shit about you on your channel. It was people going out of their way to bring you down. And some of them, for brief periods of time, were successful, Rain. You got spooked by online negativity? The blog said some mean things about my movie. Oh, I can't take the... You don't deserve to be in the entertainment industry if you can't handle some... Now, I'll be clear. As far as the way I handle online negativity, yeah, random strangers come up and start talking shit and disrespect. Mute, motherfucker. That's right. I don't block people. I let them think that I'm still listening and let them yell as loud as they want, but I'm not actually listening.
I mean, all I can say is, bro, if you saw what my spam blocker has to block at this point, given I'm an out witch, you'd probably cry.
Dude, how many Catholicers do you have threatening nonsense again? I want to know, because I have Catholic friends that I would like to make this known to so that they can start putting influence and go, no. If you are dealing with a, well, okay, I don't want to drop the W word on stream, but if you are dealing with one such individual that is abusing power and being a piece of trash, let me know, because I do know a guy who's trying to set things right, much like a lot of well-meaning Christians and well-meaning Muslims and well-meaning Jews are doing the same thing.
In the last 48 hours, because that's how often my spam filter resets, about 167 emails.
Dude, I love that Rian Johnson, this just adult man.
Child, yes.
Do you guys
What
remember?
a baby!
Do you guys remember when Fox and Friends and Fox News and CNN used to make fun of kids for cyberbullying being like not that big of a deal?
Yeah.
That's when I grew up on the internet. That was my Facebook for all of my high school years. The whole like censored. The whole idea of like censoring your comments feed, that wasn't an option when I came up. And nowadays it is an option. And like when Joe Rogan goes on and says, don't read the comments, like, yeah, I had to stop reading them in high school just because of classmates. The idea that online negativity is the reason that you didn't get an opportunity to make another Star Wars. No, it's because when you failed, you yelled at everybody.
Yep.
Because you're weak, because you have no accountability, and because you wrote a bad Star Wars. Like, you can blame everything else under the sun. Same with Kathleen. She can blame everything else. Wouldn't change a thing. And it's like, that's the problem. You have to change. Because the world is going to change regardless of whether or not you do.
Yeah.
Your stagnation is not a point of pride. It's the definition of still water.
So what I want to know
is festering like cancer.
Is with this tweet, is he saying lol 0 spooked sorry? Like he wasn't?
He's saying he wasn't spooked, but it just basically because of the...
I'm sorry, but it sounds like they quoted you.
No, so Kathleen said he got spooked, and that's why he didn't want to do a third Star Wars. He's saying I wasn't spooked, Sorry.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But no follow-up context. All right, so it was Kathleen Kennedy's claim that set me off. So the lesson
Yeah.
here,
But
kids,
even then-
is grow a pair. That's all
Not
I
only
can
grow a
say.
pair,
Whether you are male or female,
Like, do
grow.
better. Do better regardless. Like, even the newest Superman had to realize that going overboard, regardless of intention, is still going overboard, and you have to adapt to the actual feelings of people, regardless of how much you know you did the right thing.
Yeah. Trump will sign executive order giving Army-Navy football game an exclusive TV window.
Now, there's just a couple of small problems I see with this.
Aside from his hands and ego and fragility.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how an executive order does that.
Oh, the FTC.
The FCC
It
can
is in-
force it, but it's only going to do it in American TV, so...
Yeah, and that's exactly like all he cares about is just pretending like he cares.
Yeah, but
because
can't
he-
the individual stations basically say, like, lol, no?
No, because it's more along the lines of like the FCC saying this will be on one of the channels. You know, like it always has been. Like it used to be a local game back in like, I don't know, the 12s when there was only 3 channels. But now because of ESPN, the Army Navy game has always been the most broadcast game because it's called the Army Navy game. It actually has stakes for people that don't care about football. It's right up there with the NFC Pro League, the other
Okay.
sport ball games that have the cross country pollination where it's East-West Bowl, the AFC Championship, the NFC versus the AFC Pro Bowl. Like all of this has been done. Literally all he is doing is saying, now it's officially my fault.
Yeah, see, where up here we have the CRTC, and if they were given an order like this, I think the exact response would be get bent, weirdo.
Dude, even if it was literally just as big, like the Army Navy of Canada game, the people would be like,
Yeah.
we don't watch those hockey teams.
Like, well, no, the response from the CRTC, the Canadian version of the FTC, would be get bent, weirdo. Like they wouldn't even apply, like go for that because they have no reason to comply.
And
Right.
then on top of that, it's like, where is the pride? Why is it that other people are letting some random old guy that half the country doesn't like
Oh,
make
more than half now.
universal
Yeah.
decisions?
Yeah.
And also, like, why is anybody considering it news?
Shanatsky says, I did meet a person on a plane once who knew Rian Johnson a few years ago. He told me that Rian was looking forward to making his trilogy at one point. He did believe it was happening. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he was like all about it. But, oh, well, you're scared. Well, no, I wasn't scared. Well, I think that you just dropped the big freaking balls.
I think the numbers made the decision for everybody.
Pretty much. John 005 says, good evening. Good evening, John. We're
Good
soon going to be
evening.
talking about the Star Treks. Yeah. So,
Well, like, to me, a lot of it is more along the lines of like the same thing we've been ranting and raving about for the last 5 years, or however
Yeah.
long this show's been running, almost to our.
it'll be
5th
5
anniversary.
years on February 17th.
There you go. So we're almost to 5 years, and the thing we've
Or
been
no,
yelling
4.
about,
It'll be 4.
Four.
We're entering year 5.
4 years. We've got one presidential campaign of shows going on, and here's the big deal: it's about accountability. We didn't
Yeah.
start this channel because we thought we knew what perfect would look like, and the only reason perfect hasn't
Well.
been created because we're not in charge. No, we started this channel because we know for a fact that the people in charge are only listening to the upvotes. That's why YouTube deleted the downvote numbers, is because they got so afraid of the online negativity. And it's like, online negativity is vast, but also it's how you learn. When you find out that people don't like what you did, sometimes you can go, yeah, I don't care. But most times, when you're a multi-billion-dollar customer service, entertainment industry giant, and your customers stop buying your products, you can't blame the comments for the down in sales. You should probably blame the products for being cheaper.
That's it.
You lost quality. You're bad. Fix it. You have all of the money to find out what you did wrong and fix it and pretend like it didn't happen. But you didn't. At any point. You never fixed your mistakes.
Yeah.
You did let Filoni do some things. You did let some people do better. But, like, you're bad. I don't know what else you want me to say.
Turning back to Netflix news real quick, because John 005 has asked, Warner Bros. Is going all in for their Netflix bid by making a cash offer. So yes, that was some of our Netflix news from earlier. Welcome in. Shinatsky says they got paid way more than they should have, and everyone else lost out. John 005 says, thank God we can cheat the downvote. God, I miss when it was default. Yeah, no, I agree. I shout out to the Brave browser for hooking us up with their downvote.
That is kind of awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Fallout Season 2 debut ratings fall well below Season 1 amid shift from binge to weekly releases. Yes, this drop in viewership was expected because the first season dropped, all of the episodes came out, and we kind of had to, there it is.
Oh.
Had to pace ourselves on how we were going to do that. So Season 2 is, of course, feeling a drop-off. This is to be expected. Why? Because, well, not everybody likes the weekly release thing. I do, for me personally, because it's nice to dissect a show, especially something that's serialized, talk about it around the water cooler once a week, and, then we, continue on and get the next one. But we do have fans of this channel that do like to watch all of the episodes, and so we do try to make it a point to tell you guys when the last episode will be dropping. So we'll be doing our last episode review, so you guys can start catching up and making your preparations to come join the discussion on the last episode. We're of course going to do that with Fallout. I do believe the last episode falls out the 10th or the 17th of the February's. Oh shit, February 17th this year lands on a Tuesday. Yeah.
There we go.
That's going to be our 1 year special.
More than anything, why did Amazon switch to the weekly release? Well, they got a lot of numbers from the binge, and they realized that now they can get weekly ad sales up. And if there's one person that does not deserve more money, Amazon. Like, all they are is ads. Dude, and I mean, Peacock is right behind them. Good Lord. I tried to watch some shows on Peacock, and the amount of ads, it's worse than network television ever was.
Ew.
And that's where I'm like, I only download the movie or the show and then watch it on my time without the ads. Or I'm going on the high seas, because I hate ads so much. But for some reason, somebody at Amazon, somebody at Peacock, somebody at Paramount decided, you know what? We deserve more money, even though we're not even producing half the stuff on our streaming service. We're not even producing the ads. But also we deserve money for it. Like, you water down your product, suddenly you lose viewers. You're bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Ranger Donnie in the chat says, I'm fine with Netflix buying WBD, even though both companies are mixed bags for me, despite a few aspects I adore. Speaking of things that I feel are mixed bags, I feel the same way about Paramount Skydance Corporation, parent company of CBS. Yeah, dude, it's not exactly our... Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, the quality has gone down since all of these acquisition and mergers. The craziest thing is Netflix is one of the few ones that, like, tries and tries again and keeps trying again. But, like, The Witcher is the reason why the Netflix is going down, because we don't necessarily trust you to actually invest in quality. We have noticed that you're investing in whatever market research supports, and market research obviously is super biased. Like, I don't know who you're paying to do your polls. I don't know who you're paying to get your analysis. They're wrong, as evidenced by the lower view counts.
Well, I think there are a lot of factors at play for lower view counts. I really, really do. But I think all of those factors focus in on one thing. If you don't have a good product from jump, people are going to tell other people that the product is no good.
Yeah.
And while you can certainly survive if it's something that some people will enjoy and others won't, if you have a product that is just not good, it will not survive long term.
Right.
It's that simple.
Here is where I disagree. No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077. If you put in the effort to fix your mistakes, everybody will talk about how great you are for fixing your mistakes. But
I
if
would
you put in
actually
the effort to water it down further and just get those numbers back, we're gonna talk more trash.
Well, I would actually argue that with Cyberpunk 2077, first let's talk about that one. I think that everyone acknowledged that there were really good bones there, and that the problems were technical, not story, not plot.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a case of, hey guys, mea culpa, let's fix it. And when they actually delivered on that promise, things went forward. I think with No Man's Sky, part of it was the fact that they jumped out in front of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And said, like, look, we know this is not what you guys wanted initially.
Yeah. Joining us
We're
on
building
the mobile side, Dahlia Lightwood says, "Hey, anyone here?"
Hey,
Yes,
Dahlia.
we are. John and Corione are just getting passionate. Donnie, new power profile pic looks pretty badass. Fascinating choice, going with looks like Blue Ranger with well, I know that's not a lightsaber, but it looks like a lightsaber to me. And the NBC logo. I'm guessing channeling all the powers of the Rangers. I don't know. But yeah, great for your channel. Right on.
Also, boys, I gotta run. Put the babies down. I love you all.
See ya.
All right, brother, take care.
Because most streaming series has dragged things out, there kind of is the hype between episodes because they thought Fallout was going to be their big hit. Well, it still is. I mean, Fallout's amazing.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, the Osvaldo Lopez, man, I hate the new YouTube layout. Like, what happened with the first Sonic movie? They listened and fixed the god-awful Sonic model. That's true. That's true.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to Fallout Season 2 debut readings. Wait, we already did that one. Idiot. I meant to do the next Netflix news. The Legend of Zelda movie will stream exclusively on Netflix following theatrical release. So, following up our Netflix news, Netflix has secured the exclusive streaming rights for The Legend of Zelda movie following its theatrical and home releases. Scheduled to hit cinema screens on May 7th, 2027, The Legend of Zelda is still shrouded in mystery. Well, that's actually a good thing, because then it means we have no idea what's coming or what to expect.
Well, I would actually just put this out there as an argument for why we don't know anything. Bad movies spoil from people on set saying, guys, you need to understand how bad this is. If we're not getting those spoilers, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's definitely true. Lol, hey guys, says Dahlia Lightwood. Yeah, I gotta check 2 different chats, one on the phone, one on the computer, because for some reason it doesn't want to consolidate them into my streaming software like you'd expect it to. Yeah, so I do believe that concludes our news portion of this show. I think it's time to turn to the one thing that you and I actually watched this week. I think we're just gonna save Fallout for next week. And that is Starfleet Academy. Yes, Star Trek Starfleet Academy is here, and it is queer. Get used to it. Well,
actually, I don't think we actually saw queer characters.
It's weird. Sorry, I meant the classic definition.
No, I get that, but like, I think that's worth noting that they haven't opened with us being like, no, you're gonna have to get used to this.
Yeah, it definitely... There's a lot of subtle references in the show that clearly show that they're not going... First of all, why do I not hate Starfleet Academy? Well, I don't hate Starfleet Academy because I didn't watch Discovery Season 3 through 5. I did think that this show was going to be Discovery Season 6, except that when I watched the first 2 episodes, there was nothing in it that even remotely touches being Discovery Season 6. In fact, it seems like a lot of this show is trying to build on what's there, but kind of move away from the aspects of Discovery that fail. So I give credit for it trying there. This show feels very kind of silly, campy, and cheesy. I just started watching the original series again recently to as some of my bedtime programming when I feel like going to bed as a smart person. And I gotta say, there's a lot of similar energy here. A lot of effort to get back to what was while also moving forward with what is. It's the 32nd century. It is so far removed from anything else in Star Trek that I've really been emotionally attached to that this can really just kind of be its own Star Trek in its own way. And I think with it being, building on what Discovery moved to, it really felt like this was supposed to be this is what Kurtzman thought he was giving us with Star Trek Discovery, only to realize, no, buddy, you were way off the plot. Now, is it, it's not Deep Space Nine, season 4 through 6. It is not season 3 of Enterprise. It is not, seasons, what would it be? 1.5 through 6 of Voyager, or whatever, how many good seasons and episodes there were throughout that show's run. There are actually a lot of really good episodes of Voyager. Voyager just falls on its face because pilot is stupid, motives to stay in the Delta Quadrant are stupid and misplaced, but then we just kind of keep moving. We have inconsistency with Janeway's character throughout. One day it's, I've got to follow the Prime Directive and uphold the values of Starfleet. And then it's, Captain, what about the Prime Directive? Oh, you mean the toilet paper I just used last week?
What about the Prime Directive? Fuck it, let's go.
I'm Janeway, bitch. So, yeah. It worked in some cases, not so much in others. Looking at you, Equinox. Year of hell. So, no, please do not mistake for 1 second that just because I say that Starfleet Academy doesn't suck, that just because I say I don't hate Starfleet Academy, does not mean that it's the bestest Trek ever. It is the bestest Kurtzman Trek ever. But that was like a really, really, really low bar to have to establish to get there. So, it's not like it had a whole lot to overcome in the first place. First of all, the first thing I noticed was that I could see everything.
Yeah, which was nice.
Even in the grimdark prison sequences. I still felt like this was a universe I'd want to be a part of. And that's the key difference right there. I didn't feel like I was unwelcome in Starfleet Academy. I did feel like Discovery was trying to be so much something of itself on its own that it just and missed the mark.
All right. I have my notes.
Sorry, 1 second. Dahlia Lightwood says, yeah, Voyager was all over the place, but also it had cool moments. Yes.
Yeah.
It had a lot of good moments in Voyager. It's just...
I'm not gonna... I mean, okay. My issues with...
Well, hold on.
Voyager have more
Whoa. You're jumping way into the pond. We have to do this. Every single time we review Star Trek, you've got to take at least just a quick 30 seconds to 5 minutes to explain what Trek you love, which one's important to you,
Sure.
and why you are an authority to talk about the Star Treks.
Sure. I have seen every piece of Star Trek, work, and have read, I would say, probably about 70% of the beta canon. Okay? Everything that has been on TV for Star Trek, I have seen it. I have watched it. I used to be able to tell you the episode of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine by the star date. Okay? Which I think is pretty damn good. I have read, the works of some of the original writers and directors on the show. I've looked into the background of characters and the actors and what have you. I wouldn't necessarily say I am as much of an authority as some people online are, but I certainly know I know a fair bit of it. My favorite Trek era is probably from season 4 of TNG to just at the end of Enterprise. That whole era is kind of where my jam normally lies. Because while I may not have liked every episode that came out during that time, the general throughput, the concepts, everything else, I was there for. I did not enjoy Discovery at all. I watched it because I was reviewing it, and I did not enjoy that at all. Picard seasons 1 and 2 were just bad as far as I was concerned. In fact, Picard season 2 was so bad, I think I still have a mental block about it to this day. I found Picard season 3 barely watchable. And that's about as best praise as I've been able to give New Trek so far. Now, I don't hate Starfleet Academy. I do think that it needs some work, and I do have an issue with our current leadership, which, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to have my slide come up for this part of it.
Absolutely.
I submit to you that the current commandant of the Academy is simply Space Miss Frizzle. And here I will build my argument. The new ship, incidentally, is also the Academy buildings, so it really kind of is the magic space bus.
Yeah.
Okay. We get, a lot of components that feel almost identical to the Magic School Bus vibe. This feels like Magic School Bus, but for young adults. And I would make the argument that this is a problem, but it is not an insurmountable one. I think as we get to know our new leadership, if she can change and grow and become more than Miss Frizzle, and she can find a comfortable position to sit in her bridge chair, then I do think we will get somewhere. I also am not a big fan of the poop jokes that showed up in the first episode. I think our first officer, while definitely a hard charger, leads to some very uncomfortable genetic and math questions. To be fair. But
I'm going to address those, but when we get there.
Well, I'm going to say, I want to actually give them a first season to deal with them. I want to actually see if they can give us backstory on a few of the characters enough, instead of the main, the space Zach Morris that we've basically got right now. If we get a little bit more background and deal with some of these characters and actually get some okay, why are they here? how did this all happen, those sort of pieces, I might be in a better place. Because if they have like story reasons for some of this, I can get behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, before I get into my response, Chakotay's stupid spirit quest started pissing me off after a while. That's fair, because as it turns out, it was all bull honky, unfortunately. I loved the idea of that, and that was really cool, and I wish we could have had an actual Native American consultant working with Robert Beltran and the producers to have brought some of that native culture into the Final Frontier. It was cool. I also liked that they made Pika Catholic in season 3 of Strange New Worlds. I just wish that it had been established earlier in the lore. It's that kind of attempt at inclusivity that is what Star Trek is supposed to be about. It's just with some things like Chakotay's fake-ass spirit quests and, you know, kind of
it misses the mark.
And kind of haphazardly, throwing a bone out there with Pike being a Catholic, it just didn't quite stick the landing. Yeah. 7 of 9 made the show vastly more interesting, just saying, and I think kind of for the wrong reasons. In little bits and pieces, Star Trek works when it's trying to be sexy. But that works when we treat the female characters with the same dignity and respect as our male characters. And to be honest, Jeri Ryan looked way hotter in the science blue outfit that literally every other member of the crew wore in the sciences division than she did constantly parading her skin-tight assets around because, well, Berman was a fucking sexist.
There's a concept that they use in a lot of hospitality fields, and it's approachably sexy.
Right.
And I think that's what it needs to be. It needs to be a level of sexy that dad doesn't feel uncomfortable bringing the kids there, like not Hooters level sexy, but like a level of sexy that you would see at something like
West.
Well, I get it, but like, you know, there's a place for it though when it comes to Key West. But I'm talking about like,
yeah, it's fucking hot down here. More ways than one.
Yeah, but like a steakhouse sexy, you know what I mean? Right. Or the classic, you know, 50s, you know, drive up diner where the girls are on the roller skates kind of thing. Sure, like that's approachable, right?
Like they should have had it be like 7 of 9's like, hey, I'm researching this and I like this 23rd century attire. Why don't we have that anymore? And then Janeway could have been like, fine, we're gonna do skants and skirts again if the crew members, whether male or female, want to wear them. And then you could have had Jeri Ryan in a skirt uniform with her legs out, which honestly to me are just as nice as her everything else. Yeah, I'm a human male still. But
that's it.
I would only want to, you know, if I liked her. The point is, the sexiness in controlled, you know, form like that works because you enjoy it more in the moment when it's like, oh yeah, look at the crew, they're being all like risque and all this. And then it's back to business the next week like, yeah, this is kind of just how life works, guys. And that's why Star Trek lands the mark when it does get that way from time to time, but it's not constantly trying to be, you know, enticing and provocative. Like T'Pol should have had a more, I don't know, appropriate bridge uniform, while occasionally getting her, you know, scantily clad, and then, you know, the other ladies, and then, of course, come on, Star Trek, we gotta be fair, the guys gotta, you know, occasionally strip down, too. It's just, it's the universe, it's inclusive, it's not trying to, you know, you must be gay now. No, it's supposed to be that if you're kind of like me, and you just really appreciate women, that's fine. If you're like my buddy Corione here, and you appreciate both, that's
I just
also
don't
fine.
Discriminate, and that's it, you know?
And I love you still regardless, buddy.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Dahlia Lightwood says, favorite Trek era was watching the original series late at night as a kid. It's funny you say that, because that's what I'm sleeping to sometimes. It's part of maybe a sci-fi fanatic. Picard's show and books were a bore, couldn't get into them. Alright, Picard Season 3 is the only one that I would seriously be like, you gotta check that one out. Or wait till we watch together, that's fine. Like TOS, The Next Gen Voyager, and also the new movies, while not a fan of most remakes, J-Lo was great and beyond. Yes, I have to agree that the 2009 Trek and Beyond were pretty good films, and even as Star Trek films, Into Darkness was a huge
So
just
I have a different opinion on the movies. I think the movies are fantastic. I don't think they're Trek. And I think I can back up that argument.
I think you can with 2009 and Into Darkness. I think when it
No,
comes
like
to
all of them.
Beyond is the most original series Star Trek movie out of all of the films, including
I would
TOS
argue,
season 4.
Yeah, I would actually argue even Wrath of Khan, while a good movie, is not actually Star Trek.
It's a good character movie for the characters in Star Trek, but as a movie, you're correct. It's an action film.
I would argue that all of them are action films.
Motion picture, Beyond, and I would say that while 6 does have a lot of actioning to it, it is very cerebral and calculated in its plot and motion, that it is very much a Star Trek in that it goes back to the past. It is the last hurrah by going back and having this conspiracy play out, but then what's the end of the movie? Oh, it's about the future. People are afraid of change. What happens? Oh, they sign the Khitomer Accords anyway.
Okay, so hear me out. All Trek has a certain cadence to it where they present a moral argument that humanity is roughly facing either now or previously or should probably be facing in the future. And then, and here's the trick, shows the characters dealing with the moral ramifications of this situation, making a call, but emphasizing that this was the call they made and that other calls are valid. Show me a Star Trek movie that actually takes the time to do that. I would argue that all of them do have moral calls, but they don't take the time to show the other options.
Motion picture, Beyond, Undiscovered Country. Fulfill your criteria. But if we need to review those movies after our Star Wars revival, we can
might have
definitely
to
come back to it.
We might have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And the Ferengi suck. They're annoying, and I do not give two shits about their culture or history, says Dahlia Lightwood. Oh, honey, you've got to give DS9 another try. Ranger Donnie says, as a fan of nearly all generations of Star Trek, I stand with those who believe S-31 is worse than Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Dude, I hear S-31's worse than Into Darkness, and Into Darkness is probably the worst Star Trek film. Yes, I know. But Star Trek 5! Alright. If you are so obsessed with visual effects and semantics like Deck 105, which I agree. The Constitution class only has 32 decks. It's not, freaking 156 decks. That scene was done. That's not an immersion breaking moment. It's that's stupid. And I can move on from that. I can move on from the Enterprise being smeared across the screen to jump into warp. I can move on from, Chekhov, I know the ship like the back, or not Chekhov, Scotty, I know the ship like the back of my hand. He fell and hit. It's like kind of on par with a poop joke for me personally.
Fair.
But the plot is actually still very Star Trek. The character development, the character moments are very Star Trek, from Yosemite to Facing Your Fear to Kirk going, no, don't take away my pain. I need my pain. It makes me who it's. What a amazing freaking not just Star Trek moment, but human scene. Because, man, if that is just not something that resonates with me these days, especially, having gone through what I have been.
Yep.
So, yeah. James Caserta, welcome, says 6 was a political thriller. Yes, it was. But it was also a political thriller looking back at the history that Star Trek had built up, especially TOS, up until this point, and how they were going to explain what the peace looked like that was already established in the Next Generation. And so it's 6 is like a bridge. It is the bridge and passing of the torch movie from the original series crew to the Next Generation. But we couldn't.
Well, I would
have
actually
that.
argue Generations is that film.
You're
Six,
right.
Generations
Generations is because it ends the Roddenberry timeline. So
right. But what I would argue is that 6 is actually the end of the TOS story arc.
yes.
Right? Like after that point, we see individual characters. We never see all of them on the bridge again.
Yeah. James Casarda says, "How am I what?" in response to Sentai Danger.
Oof,
Sentai Ranger. Sentai Danger Ronnie.
well, Danger is his middle
Danger
name.
Ronnie.
Fun fact.
Anyway, Danger Ronnie says, "How are you?" James Casarda, I do. Wait. Oh, I think he did answer the reference I'm about to say, because I was about to say, "How do you feel? How do you feel?
How do you feel? Yeah.
How am I what? How do you feel?" Reference to Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
Which is one of the...
I'm actually going to argue
that it's one of the stupidest Star Trek movies ever made?
no,
Oh,
that
too
it's
bad.
one of the better ones.
I think that when you look at the feel, it is. When you look at the character moments, it's got a lot of good moments. When you look at the plot and the physics and the...
I would argue that they were consistent with Star Trek physics at the time.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Stephen
Because
Wardle,
TOS
pointed
has like 3 or 4 time travel episodes.
years ago, he's like, they have to go back in time to grab whales to save Earth in the future. And I'm like, look, when you think about Star Trek 4, yeah, it's plot-wise, it's actually worse than Star Trek 5. But execution sticks the landing. Like, yeah, it's you don't realize how silly the movie actually is because you're caught up in the guys from the future are going back to Earth in the 80s. It's so cool. And it is. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that like I'm not enjoying it too. I do. I actually love Star Trek 4. It was my mom's favorite. It was this crazy person's favorite that I once knew, and I absolutely appreciate the movie for what it is. But don't for a second, again, if I was to say what I would... Star Trek 4 and Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
They're about the same level. That's what I would say. If you love Star Trek 4, give Academy a try and set your expectations to really nothing. Because I went into Starfleet Academy thinking that it was going to be Star Trek 90210. And nope. It's actually
it feels
Star
more
Trek.
like I don't know. I would argue that it feels like Star Trek Saved by the Bell, but
That's
even
an
then,
improvement.
I'm not particularly upset at that per se.
90210 is a pretentious show about pretentious loser people. Saved by the Bell is about high school students. But that's the other thing. That's really weird. Why are grown adults getting so irate about space college kids acting like college kids in space?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, my arguments are, I really don't like how they're running the Klingon character so far, but they could probably solve that by giving us his background, like his background story. I'm not super huge on the photonic, like the holographic kid that's at the academy, but I'm sure if we got some backstory on that, it'll fix it. Or if she has like a character day arc, like a Data's Day sort of story, that can be fixed. All of these are at right now problems that are solvable. They're not insurmountable problems yet. I just want to see what the writers do at this point now to solve them.
Right, but the thing is, I
And I
don't
think that's a fair
feel
place to be.
well. It's funny that people are like, "Ow, I'm getting lectured," and they're highlighting the scenes that take place during class, during the lecture.
Yeah,
Oh
like,
my
it's-
god.
it's-
Okay, yes, I get it. The show's being a little self-aware, but at the same time, there's a line in the I think it's either the first or the second episode. There's a line that says, "All right, we have to take what we have and what works in the present, but we have to look back in the past, and we have to take what makes sense, and we have to build new on top of that." And honestly, that is what Starfleet Academy is doing. Is it's really, really actually trying its hardest to build a modern Star Trek, not erasing what it's built from, but taking Discovery and turning the lights up. They've been listening to us the whole time with that. Taking Discovery and making the future hopeful. Holy shit. In this rebuilding of the Federation era that they've set up, which honestly, and this was the best part about both episodes 1 and 2, I don't feel like I have to go back and watch seasons 3 through 5 of Discovery to feel like I need to. I have no clue what exactly all the stuff that's going on besides the dilithium burn that has since been overcome with the new, I guess, warp drive that runs on something else. I'll figure it out as we go. The point is, I didn't feel like I needed to go back and find context. I felt like if I had watched the original series and jumped to this show, I'd be right there. And I think that's because Kurtzman actually sat down and his other team of writers sat down and watched the original series all the way through and were like, all right, we're going to take this, combine it with Discovery, and here's the hybrid that we have. And I understand it's not for everyone. I'm not raving about this show to make it about for everyone. I am giving you guys my honest opinion as to why I love it. And where does my opinion come from? Huge fan of original series, of as far as what it is wholly Star Trek. I don't really compare it to the rest, except when I need to. Deep Space Nine is my Star Trek. That is the one that took Roddenberry's vision and properly deconstructed it and showed, here's how you on the frontier, being tested with the worst of the worst, can overcome these obstacles and these hard things. This is how Benjamin Sisko, the captain who is Picard's diplomacy, Kirk's kick-assery, and just a bit of his own badassery combined on the frontier, facing all of these horrible and just awful trials, and he still holds up the Federation values. He still holds up the Prime Directive. He still doesn't waver and give up. And that, watching that character, made more sense. Because with TNG and TOS, it's all on the flagship. It's all on the guys that are the best of the best, which you should always strive to be. Absolutely. But how do we get there? Oh, DS9. Enterprise. Those are the shows that show us the way. Starfleet Academy is something else. It is not Discovery Season 6 so far. It could it be? We'll see. But as of episode 2, I will say I was wrong about it being Star Trek Discovery Season 6. I was wrong about it being Star Trek 90210. It is Star Trek college kids in space behave like college kids in space.
Yeah.
All right, we got comments to catch up on. Paula 1966 says, hello, I have a question. Do you both think Keanu Reeves would play a great Darth Revan? Well, switching back to the Star Wars discussion, yes, absolutely. Yeah?
I would say he'd make an amazing dark side Revan. I don't know if he'd make a light side Revan very well. I think that character is incredibly nuanced. And I think, I honestly don't believe right now we have the right perfect person for both aspects of it. It's kind of like my view on Batman. We either get somebody who's really good at playing Batman or really good at playing Bruce Wayne. we never get somebody who's really good at both.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's possible. I think Revan is kind of one of those as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Paul in 1966 says, I heard that Abeloth might be coming in Ahsoka Season 2, and Natalie Portman might be returning as Padme, and Abeloth will take her form to deceive Anakin. Ooh, well, that's totally a subject change on that, but I'm going to be honest, if that has me intrigued for Ahsoka Season 2. Dahlia Lightwood says, when sci-fi loses the science aspect, it starts to become fantasy fiction, and at that point, it's more Avatar realm. Cool, yes. Sci-fi, not so much. I would say that Star Wars also falls under that category.
I mean, I would argue that science fiction is an umbrella term that now relates to the science part on every level. That includes things like political science and social science. So, even in things that we would describe as like a space opera or space fantasy, so long as they are still talking about a theoretical society we could evolve into, they are still doing the job of science fiction, just not one of the hard sciences. And that is a thing that can be interesting. The book I'm writing has very little facts and figures and does not necessarily treat, gravity as something that isn't like a plaything. But I think it still is under the umbrella of science fiction because I'm looking at science. The science I'm playing with is primarily anthropological science. So I think it's an interesting distinction. I'm not going to say you're wrong, Dahlia. I am going to say consider expanding your definition of science to include not just biology, chemistry, and physics.
Well, I think what Dahlia is saying, though, is more along the lines of, like, yes, there is, the possibility of learning telekinesis the way we see the Force on screen. But until that can become mainstream, it's more of a fantasy element. The Force as a Deus Ex plot device is...
Well, I would argue that the science fiction realm Star Wars, like the science that Star Wars plays with, is political science.
Fair enough. I will say, yeah, I agree. It's definitely more science fantasy, but the science fiction element is more in the politics, not so much in the technology and the lore. Well, it's pretty... Yeah. Proto Badger says, plus the Academy ship, back to Starfleet Academy, says the warp nacelle not part of the ship. It's like this new floating system with magnetic things that they have that ends up apparently becoming a detriment in the Discovery season 3 through 5 anyway. So it's really just a visual aesthetic that they thought would be cool and futuristic that a majority of classic Star Trek fans, whether they love Discovery or hate it alike, have agreed is kind of a dumb element to add, especially since it became a disabling fact that, Discovery's warp nacelles, I guess, got compromised because they float around. Like, the idea was interesting, the way that the Jedi Starfighter typically uses a hyperwing, or hyperring. Unless, of course, you're, in Ayla Secura's Jedi Starfighter from Jedi Starfighter 2, in which case the prototype hyperdrive was just built into the ship. So, yeah, it was, Or no, sorry, not Ayla Secura, it was Adigala.
I would argue that it's a design choice, not one that we'd necessarily make, but they've made it part of the future aesthetic that they are pulling.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I do like the Kirk class, and I actually like the main ship. The way the Athena, flies through space, yes, I would prefer if the nacelles were at least connected by space fiber cables or something. That alone would be better than no connection.
Or even just umbilicals.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah, space if you wanted to do this thing where you have like cables and the ship moves, that way and it can transform, which it does. I could see where that works. I just don't like that they're completely detached and floating in the vicinity. That it just seems like all I have to do is position a magnet in front of it, and then I have your warp cells. But
Well, like,
do.
I if they weren't parked around Earth, I can't imagine that they'd lift off and find out that their warp nacelles are on blocks or something, right?
I did like how when the ship came and landed at the Academy, that it actually like changes its shape and forms itself and positions itself so it's like, you know, a member of the cast that doesn't just get glorified flybys, but people outside can look up at it, and it's like, you know, watching over the students, and it's
There are positives to the aesthetic.
Right.
I will certainly say that. And I do. Okay, I question the logic of having a building where people are taking classes that occasionally goes on its own adventures. Because, like, my logic would be like, oh man, I've got, like, you know, training on the quad this week. You know, oh damn, the campus left without me. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that would be like a thing, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean,
coming out from your ground dorm and coming out and be like, wait, where's the Athena? And then you get a message on your thing, hey, you didn't make the transport in time because you were on late watch. Enjoy your next 6 days of holiday routine. We'll be back.
right? Like, you know, that does seem to be a bit problematic with the design.
The school left without me.
Yeah, right? Like, you know, stuff like that happens, or it's like, you know, you were off campus, I don't know, talking to whales or something, and you come back and the campus is gone.
Yep. Yeah. Dolly Lightwood says, when it's a mini-series with plots that stretch through a whole series, that can get annoying after a little bit. It depends. Like, if you do the hybrid model with DS9, that can work. And I think if they're doing the hybrid, you know, episodic serialized model like we were gonna get with Strange New Worlds, but kind of didn't. If that's what we're getting with Academy, then I think we've got a chance here. I like a series where you can start anywhere and still get what's going on and not have to watch every single episode from the beginning to get what's going on. Right, like the Orville. Except if you watch one episode of the Orville, you're going to want to watch them all.
Mm-hmm.
Voyager had a nice balance with that. They had some overarching plot threads, but each episode also had its own adventure and message to the original. Right, but the problem is they went too episodic. Whereas DS9 showed, you know, changes over time and had the consistency, Voyager really just loved that magic reset button, especially when they stopped keeping track of the torpedoes, which will now bite you in the ass in the new Voyager game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep track of your torpedoes and lose them all. You're gonna get them gone. Roto Badger says, okay, I get it. Thanks for clear. One of my biggest issues before watching it was kind of iffy on watching it and getting Discovery taste again. Look, man, I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's not there. Yes, the Discovery is referenced once. Yes, it is in the 32nd century of Discovery.
I would argue that, well, okay, I would argue that the aesthetic from Discovery has been cleaned up some, but it is still there, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's still there
in the ways that we would actually expect it to be in Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek, not in the I'm going to force and lecture all of this onto you. It's
right. And no, I'm talking about the aesthetic, not the plot.
And that's the other thing. The first 2 episodes, male, female, everybody got quips in on each other. Tit for tat. There was no, I'm the strong, independent woman, or I am the man in charge. None of it. It was all, oh yeah, we gotta do this, but you know, teamwork and shit. So
yeah.
Yeah.
They actually, I will say that they didn't go too hard. Like, Holly Hunter actually did.
Oh, she's doing
decent
great
stuff.
Whether you love Captain Aki or not, she's.
I am a little annoyed that they keep pulling the species that she's from out of obscurity.
Right.
Like,
This
I
is
don't know
like
if we need to
Palia's
keep
daughter
hitting
or
it.
something.
Yeah, like I don't know if we need to keep hitting it, but
Yeah.
I also
So-
like so far I'm willing to give her a chance.
Yeah.
I just want her to not be Miss Frizzle.
I think that Miss Frizzle's acceptable, but she's also got to still be, you know, Miss Lawyer, Chancellor Badass. And overall, I think, I mean, I like the character. I'm not annoyed with her. And I know people are like, oh, who sits in a captain's chair like that? Well, my CEO of the Coast Guard cut her birds off back in 2015, Captain Collins, actually would go out on her bridge chair. That's right. In the Coast Guard, our captain has 2 chairs. We're better than Starfleet. And she would prop her legs up on the bridge wing, kick her hair back, and just she's sitting there in her regular Coast Guard t-shirt and work pants, and just like exactly the way that she sits in the chair. And we busted like highest busts ever of cocaine. We brought in a lot of detainees. Alive, mind you. And
I'm sure
we
with
didn't
like
kill
actual
anybody. We murdered 0 people.
and I'm sure with actual, following the legitimate laws of the land and
Due
maritime law and
process
stuff
and
like
maritime
due
law, all that
process
stuff that the Coast Guard
habeas
does, that
corpus
the Navy
and so
doesn't
forth.
give a shit, that Pete Head Sex playing Soldier Run. Yeah, wait, this isn't the end of the world. We don't need to get political, do we? Robert Picardo is like probably one of the high points of this show. He is just like, they don't overuse him. He steals the scene, but in the appropriate amount of ways. And honestly, he's just an awesome addition to have to the entire series.
I didn't mind him.
Oh.
I'll be honest. Like, I didn't mind him. I thought I would like to see him train somebody and then get out of the way, I think. Because I don't want him overused.
Right.
But we'll see how it goes.
Most definitely. All right,
Like,
we have gone
If they bring Jeffrey Coombs back, like,
Yeah.
that's that.
Dave's Castera says, she's the best Estavar. Well, Captain Collins, by her track record and how she was a captain, absolutely. Captain Aki could be the best Estavar, but she kind of has to prove it.
Actually, I would argue that Captain Aki screwed up in the second episode, and they showed that, 1. And 2, the whole reason why she brought on one of the characters to the Academy was because of a fuck up that really compounded her whole motivation. So I would argue that she's not like some of the other characters. She's flawed and has flaws and second guesses herself routinely, and I like that.
She is a good character. She is well written and acted as far as what we've got. Now, okay, she's not Dude. Here's the thing that I learned with Fallout Season 2 so far. Command climate is really based on who's in charge. And,
Yep.
You want more of a Kirk ship? Yeah, there's probably a Kirk out there in the 32nd century on a Kirk-class starship, commanding a Kirk-style command. And I hope that we see that. I hope that Academy gives us a chance to give us not just a diversity of, actors and people and walks of life. And of course, we do have the Jem'Hadar Klingon hybrid, which I actually loved and appreciated the explanation. A really horny Jem'Hadar getting it on with a Klingon female is totally believable, because what would they bond over, Corione? Kicking each other's asses.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is the problem that I have. Okay? Let's start getting into the biology of this equation.
Got you right there.
Hear me out on this.
I would, but I know where you're
Why-
going. They only live to be like 7 to 8 years old or whatever.
That's not my issue.
Oh.
Let me ask you this. Why would the founders provide a way to produce offspring to the Jem'Hadar when they specifically do not want them to create a culture outside of the culture the founders control?
So, This is the 32nd century.
Okay.
By now, the Alpha Quadrant, I'm pretty sure she's an Alpha Quadrant gem, for one.
Okay.
For
Then how
two,
did they survive without...
The Alpha Quadrant gem were more likely received recognition of, I guess you could say, beings' rights.
Okay.
And therefore probably granted a chance to naturally exist. And
Okay.
therefore were modified one last time to be given proper natural abilities to exist and reproduce.
And here's my piece on that. I am willing to accept that your headcanon makes sense. I need to see something to that effect on screen for it to be believable as her backstory.
Well,
which I think is fair.
It is believable in the sense that, like I said, she cites her lineage from the Jem'Hadar male side, her father's side,
Right.
and then cites the Klingon side of her family, which, well, that goes without saying. So,
Right, but how did the father reproduce? Because
we don't know that they don't have
reproduce.
junk. We just know that they're grown in vats and cloned. And then we also don't know what the we got to go back.
You see my counter argument.
I see it, but I also feel that the answer
I also feel
the answer's
and
in
I
that.
also feel that I'm willing to give the show the opportunity
Yes.
to show me.
But the answer to your immediate quandary is in the DS9 episode where Bashir and O'Brien encounter that one Jem'Hadar who is already free from the white. Getting them off of Ketracel White has a universe of implications, and we can clearly see that that our hybrid commander lady does not
not
have
on the white.
She's not addicted. She still has it. I guess her blood's white, which they never really clarified Jem'Hadar blood, I don't think. Or was it blue? I don't remember.
We don't really see the Jem'Hadar bleed.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't wanna watch
we
TV
know
shows.
Klingon blood is kind of hot, is kind of like Barbie pink, but that's all we've got.
Dahlia Lightwood says, "This is why I write fanfic, to explain how humans and aliens fuck. Not all heroes wear capes, and thank you for taking yours out." Sentai Ranger Donnie says, "The only current and overall Star Wars project that didn't feel like Star Wars to me overall was the Acolyte." Yeah, we don't need to talk about the crap light. Too much CGI is among a couple of the issues I'm having with Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Fair.
Okay.
So
fair.
far, likewise, Captain Aki talking to the Riker maneuver is a little too far. Although Captain Aki and the Doctor are tied as my #1 Starfleet Academy character. That's kind of right there with you. Like, Holly Hunter is a phenomenal actress. She is good in everything she does, including Incredibles 2. And I was worried that this would be a waste, but I think this is going to be the one thing, I hate to say it, this is going to be what saves Curtsy Boy's career. That said, where's Star Trek Legacy? Can we get that one going? I'd still like to see that one.
Yeah.
All right. We were going to talk about Fallout.
Yeah, but we're way out of time now, dude.
So we're going to come back to Fallout. We're going to fall out of Fallout for next week, I guess. I don't know. Let me put that on the mobile side so it's correct. I want to thank everybody for watching, tuning in, liking, subscribing, of course, but more importantly, shout-outs have to go to Dahlia Lightwood, Proto Badger, Sentai Ranger Donnie Paula 1966, James Casarda, John 005, Shinatsky, Cosmic Vader, Philip Blair. Guys, thank you for making such an awesome show. Even more awesome with you guys being here. We will always bring the topics and the discussion, but at the end of the day, you know, we kind of need you guys to show up and be here and be a part of it. So we greatly appreciate that. Corione, any last words to say on the things?
No.
Great. So I'm just going to use this as filler to get to the outro so that I can get that queued up and away.
There we go.
So yeah, please join us next week. It's going to be either more of the same with the discussions, or we're going to be doing our Star Wars revival special. We will find out when we get there. I'm Percival Dreadnought. He is Corion. We'll see you then. Good night. This has been a presentation of the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast from the Writer Brothers. The Writer Brothers, restoring respect into discourse. Good night.